Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
Hi, it is RGT, and it's been a couple days since I have talked to you guys. I did make a YouTube short the other day, but I figured you guys wanted to know what the hell happened. A lot of people don't know what the hell happened. I still have my hospital bracelet on. A lot of people have misconceptions about what ended up happening, so I'm just going to tell you guys what happened. I'm a pretty honest person, straight up, and just tell you how this is going to impact things going forward. So, Saturday night, I had a bit of a headache, as I said on the live stream, and my ear was hurting a bit as well. And I thought, oh, I must have an ear infection or something like that. No big deal. I tried to go to bed, and I couldn't fall asleep or whatever. It was really annoying. I was supposed to go to my grandma's house for lunch, but since I never fell asleep, I just called her up, and I was like, hey, I haven't been to bed yet. I'm just going to come over at like 9:30 or 10 and hang out, and then I'll leave around 1 or 2. She's like, okay, that's cool. So I drove over there, and my ear was just kind of getting worse and worse. Like, it hurt more and more. And you're probably thinking, well, who cares about an ear infection? Like, that's not a huge deal. Stick around. So now we're eating lunch, and like my jaw is hurting. Like, it hurts to open my mouth to eat, and it's just all on this side. It's this ear and this part of my jaw, and I'm like, shit. And so I'm like, that's my grandma. I'm like, have you ever been to that urgent care place down the road? And she was like, yeah, I've been there a few times. It's good. I brought grandpa there once for something. I was like, I think I'm gonna go there because my ear is really bothering me, and I think there's an infection, and I need to go get that taken care of. So I went down to the urgent care, signed the papers or whatever, and they did a blood pressure check. And they took another blood pressure check, and they took another, and they were like, oh, this machine must not be working. And they got a manual one, and they took it 2 more times. And then the nurse practitioner came in, and she took it, and she said, how did you get here? I said, I drove my car. She was like, where do you live? I told her where I lived. I said, I passed by here to go to my grandma's house. I had lunch at my grandma's, and I'm passing by here to go back home. And I figured I'd stop for my ear. Why? And she was like, if you don't go to the emergency room right now, you will die by the end of the day. And I was like, oh, why is that? She said, your blood pressure is 240 over 190. And I was like, how is that high? Like, I don't know. That seems kind of high. And she was like, I don't know how you're not having chest pains. I don't know how you're walking. I don't know how you're talking to me right now because you should be like in cardiac arrest. I'm like, oh, okay. So they were like, we'll call you an ambulance. And I said, hey, I do not have insurance because I'm a stupid YouTuber. So we're not calling any ambulance. I will call a family member. I will phone a friend. So I called up my uncle who lives nearby, and he was like, yeah, I'll come get you. And so he came and got me, and we rushed down to the ER. They took my blood pressure. They ran a bunch of tests. They gave me a bunch of drugs. I took so many drugs there. I mean, there were obviously drugs that they gave me. Brett, censor out the F word that I just said. Give it a little beep. But yeah, they gave me a ton of drugs. Some of them, of course, were, blood pressure medicines. Some of them were blood thinners. Some of them were pain medicines because my ear was still killing me. Some of them were sedatives because I was a nervous wreck. And then, so they did a bunch of stuff, and they're like, we're going to have to keep you overnight. And I was like, no, I don't want to stay overnight. I can't afford to stay overnight. And they're like, no, we're going to have to keep you overnight. I was like, fine, we could do one night. So the nice thing was the room did have a TV, so I was able to watch the Giants game and watch the Giants win. So, that was cool, but I was still in the ER. They actually didn't have a room available for me. I felt like Mary and Joseph and the baby Jesus, they didn't have a room for me, but they did move me to another portion of the ER that had like a more of a bed instead of just like the other thing I was in was more of like I don't know, it was more like just a table that had like a hump in it. This was like an actual bed, and it had like bedding on it. So I stayed there. I hardly ever slept, of course, because it's hard to sleep in a hospital. And then the next morning, they were like, obviously this was Martin Luther King Day, which was Monday. They were like, well, we've got your blood pressure pretty much under control. We're going to give you medications and have you follow up with someone. I'm like, great, time to go home. And they're like, you can't go home yet. And I'm like, I have to go home. I don't think you understand. I do not have insurance. And they were like, well, you need to have this test done because it kind of is going to determine, whether you need something else done or not. Because, if the test comes out positive, it's fine. If the test comes out negative, you need to have work done immediately. So I'm like, they already done a bunch of CAT scans. They already done all these other tests. And I'm just thinking of the dollar signs. And like, it really took all my willpower to say yes, that I would stay another night, because I did not want to. I did not want to, but I said, okay. They ended up getting me a room. The thing that they did was called an angiograph, I think it's called, or something like that. Basically, they go into an artery of yours. They went through my wrist, and they pump it full of a dye, and then they do an X-ray and look at all your blood vessels. If there's something clogging your blood vessels, they'll be able to fix it. But the reason they wanted to do this was because there's an enzyme in your heart, begins with a T, tryptophan or something like that, when they did my blood work, it started out fine, and then it sparked up like super high, and they noticed that there was a little damage to like the left side of my heart. So they wanted to see, was that happening pre or post tense, or was it happening because there was some sort of blockage? So they had to do that test. Thankfully, there was no blockage. So essentially, what ended up happening was I had a heart attack without physically having a heart attack. My body, my insides pretty much had a heart attack. I just never felt it. I never had any chest pain. I never had any dizziness or blurriness or loss of vision or, fainting or anything like that. I don't know. So basically, my blood pressure had just been high for a very long time. And it just went untreated. So whenever, I wouldn't feel good, which, I mean, if you look back at some of my videos, you can see there's times where I'm kind of, groggy or tired. I got a headache, this, that, and the other. It was because of that. It was because of my blood pressure. So I have done some damage to my heart, they said, but, it's not terrible. I'm taking medicines that will help sort of fix that and steer me on the right path. Taking some cholesterol medicine. My cholesterol was a little bit high too. I had to follow up with another guy on Thursday. I don't know when this video is going up, but yeah, so that's what happened. They said I pretty much, if I didn't go to get my ear looked at, I would have died. Both the walk-in clinic and the doctor that I saw. But on another note, not only have I quit smoking cigarettes, but I've quit vaping, because you're not able to vape at the hospital. So now I don't smoke anything but your mom's kisses. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I have no idea how big this hospital bill is going to be, but that's life. That's life. I'll sell some games or something like that if I have to. I'll figure something out. Go on a payment plan. I don't know. Maybe I'll make a GoFundMe with just no limit on it and just be like, whatever, if I make $1 on it, hey, that's $1 towards my medical bills. But I got to see what all that comes in looking like. I got to get some health insurance, obviously, as well. So I'll do that. I'm very tired. I'm very groggy. My body is very weak. I'm going to go lay on the couch, probably catch some Z's, maybe even just go to bed at 7 o'clock when I'm filming this. But that's where I've been. Take care of yourself, kiddies. Go for a checkup once in a while. Don't be an idiot, stubborn person like me, because I'm not the brightest tool in the shed. I'm the sharpest tool in the shed. The brightest crayon in the box. All right, I'll be back hopefully soon with my normal content. There's some stuff I've seen that I want to talk about, but I figured I'd just get you guys up to date. Thank you for all your support. Remember, we're trying to hit 500,000 subscribers. Do it before I die. And as always, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Later.